If you've heard of the anime Yu Yu Hakusho, you've probably heard it compared to Hunter x Hunter. These two animes are constantly compared to one another thanks to the fact that they are made by the exact same creator. This is an idea that is perfectly fine, but in my opinion, what I just cannot stand are people saying that Togashi, the creator of both of these animes, was polishing his craft with Yu Yu Hakusho, and then when he came out with Hunter x Hunter, he truly perfected it. Now don't get me wrong, I don't think Hunter x Hunter is a bad anime. As a matter of fact, I watched it all the way through very fast. And I can say the same about Yu Yu Hakusho. Something about Togashi's work just makes it truly addicting. I watched through both animes extremely fast because I had to know what happened next. That being said, I don't dislike Hunter x Hunter, but the fact that Yu Yu Hakusho is constantly put down when it's mentioned next to Hunter x Hunter is frustrating for me because I truly do believe Yu Yu Hakusho to be the superior of these two animes. Let me explain why. First of all, let's talk about the protagonist. In Hunter x Hunter, I guess you could consider Killua and Gon to both be protagonists. Yes, you could argue the side characters in both of these animes are main characters, but I'll talk more about them later. Gon in Hunter x Hunter is the classic case of a protagonist with a heart of gold. And while there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, we have seen it time and time again in shonens with characters like Naruto and Luffy and Kirito. It's just gotten to the point where I'm tired of seeing the heart of gold protagonist. And I do understand why people appreciate Gon as a protagonist, that being because Killua offsets his heart of gold nature. I believe that Yu Yu Hakusho does this dynamic a lot better with Kurabara and Yusuke. The yin and yang dynamic was achieved in Yu Yu Hakusho without the main character being forced to be a two-dimensional heart of gold character. Don't get me wrong, Yusuke definitely does have a heart of gold, and he is a classic protagonist in the sense that he is always going to do what's right, but I think they conveyed the yin and yang dynamic a lot better in Yu Yu Hakusho because I felt as if I could relate to both Kurabara and Yusuke. And yes, you could make the argument that Gon and Killua are written to be 12-year-old kids, and I would completely agree with you. But simply put, I am not a 12-year-old kid, and Hunter x Hunter was not written for 12-year-old kids, so I don't understand why make the main characters so immature. Yusuke and Kurabara are both 14, and despite this, I feel like anyone from age 14 all the way to 55 could enjoy Yu Yu Hakusho's main characters and relate to them a little bit. It feels more as if Gon and Killua are main characters that you are not supposed to enjoy, and then the side plots like Kurapika and Leorio are written for the older audiences. Which once again is not inherently a problem, but there were plenty of times in Hunter x Hunter where I found myself getting bored. I felt as if I didn't want to watch Gon and Killua, and there were certain scenes where I really didn't want to watch Kurapika either. Compare this to Yu Yu Hakusho, and I cannot think of a time where I didn't want to watch Yusuke and Kurabara. And as a matter of fact, I can't think of a single time where I got tired of watching Hiei and Kurama. I feel as if this is a perfect time to transition into the side characters. First, I want to talk about Kurapika. Kurapika, as I mentioned earlier, was a character that I felt was written for the more mature audiences watching Hunter x Hunter. However, I'm sorry to be blunt here, I just do not think that the writer did a good job with this character. And maybe this is the classic case of an anime simply not standing the test of time, but I think we have far moved past the phase of a character wanting revenge for no reason. It not only feels like Kurapika was written to be an exact replica of Sasuke, but there was absolutely no character development in his story. Time and time again now, we see anime characters on a quest for revenge, and then they realize that revenge will leave them with nothing but emptiness. We even saw Sasuke face this storyline, and without delving too deep into Naruto, at the end of the day, Sasuke did develop as a character, granted in a very weird and I would almost argue poorly written way. Kurapika, it almost seems, is the exact same edgelord coming into the anime as he is coming out. He is a character on a quest for revenge who is getting his revenge. That is Kurapika. His story is not that deep. He's a very two-dimensional character in my opinion. Luckily, Yu Yu Hakusho also has an edgelord character, that being Hiei. Hiei is written almost identical to Kurapika. He is solely driven by revenge and hatred. But once he realizes that revenge is not going to bring him happiness, he becomes a stoic. Hiei, as he first entered the anime, is a character driven solely by hatred, and coming out, he is one that is almost consumed by love. It is absolutely insane character development, and there was not a single moment in Hiei's storyline where I found myself thinking, how could he come to that conclusion? There was also not a single moment in Hiei's storyline where I found myself getting bored, or I found myself not wanting to watch this side character. But over and over, when they cut to Kurapika, I couldn't help myself from wondering why they were showing me this guy on his quest for revenge for the 10th time. And I'm sorry for talking about Kurapika so much, but it really did feel like a poorly written character. Not only does his character not develop at all, but he doesn't even achieve his goal at the end of the day. And yes, you can argue that this is a situation of the anime not being finished. However, I just don't think that this character is fleshed out enough to act like Hunter x Hunter is the masterpiece that it is. Next up, I want to talk about Leorio. Now, this is one of the only characters in Hunter x Hunter that you will actually find their fan base hating on. However, I not only believe Leorio to be one of the better written characters in the show, but there was not a single time where this guy was on screen where I was not entertained. I think the main reason people hate on Leorio is because he really did not develop as a character from the first time that he was introduced. That's right, they hate on him for the exact same reason that Kurapika is beloved by the community. The only difference is, Leorio didn't need to develop as a character. From the very first time we saw him, his only goal was to help people. And yes, Leorio is not a perfect person, but that's what makes him so realistic and relatable compared to the other characters in this anime. As a matter of fact, I would argue that Leorio is the only character in Hunter x Hunter that I truly found to be well written for the simple fact that he is realistic. And I fully understand that we are dealing with a fictional world. There is no reason for every character to be 100% realistic, but I felt as if Hunter x Hunter takes this to the absolute extreme with every single character but Leorio. I can pretty much sum up every single character with one word, Kurapika being revenge, Gon being nice, Killua being edgy. Leorio you cannot define in one word because he's a very complex character. He's also a character that, you guessed it, I'm going to relate to Kurama because they are very similar in the way that they are not two-dimensional at all. They are both characters that are extremely complex, don't necessarily develop throughout the series, and have good intentions at the end of the day. I've talked about side characters for enough time now. Let's talk about the power system. Now, when I was talking about characters earlier, I believe everything I just said to be completely objective. However, when talking about the power system in both of these animes, this is obviously very subjective. The Hunter x Hunter power system I believe to be almost pretentious for no reason. It's way too complicated and at times it really didn't make sense. For example, why do you pass the Hunter exam and then you're chased down and taught about Nen? It doesn't make sense. You shouldn't even be able to pass the Hunter exam without knowing about Nen in the first place. Because someone could pass the Hunter exam based off of their athleticism and then have no potential when it comes to Nen. This is especially non-realistic when you look at the fact that Nen is known among people who are not hunters. So you're telling me the large majority of people who are trying to get their hunter license don't know about Nen, yet there's an entire city where the Phantom Troops reside that are fully aware of how Nen works? Not only are the mechanics of how and who knows Nen ridiculously complicated, but the actual process of how Nen works is even more complicated. You have Nen, Ren, Zen, Gen, like why? There's no point. Yu Yu Hakusho keeps it extremely simple. You have spiritual energy, you have moves you are going to be good at, moves you are going to be bad at, you can learn moves. Your genetic potential does influence how good you are going to be at certain moves, but if you don't have good genetics, it sucks to be you. That's just how it works. In Hunter x Hunter, some random bum can just be the strongest in the anime. Look at the old man. The guy literally just punched walls for a living and became the strongest in the verse. Next, I want to talk about the actual motivation behind these characters. And for this, I want you to put all of your bias aside and just listen to me and determine which one sounds like a more interesting story. First of all, you have Yusuke, someone who died trying to save an infant who was brought back to life because his moral compass was so directed by his decision to give up his life for another person. Among coming back to life, he is assigned the title Spirit Detective. He has to defeat malicious demons who made their way into the human world and cleanse the world of evil. Alright, second option, we have Gon Freaks. The guy is trying to find his dad who left him. Next, I'm simply talking about this for the reason that I have to. This is by far the worst thing about Hunter x Hunter. It is the Chimera Ant arc. I'm going to save you the time because I'm sure you have heard people complain about this arc over and over at this point, but as you could imagine, I am one of the many people who believe this to be the slowest paced, garbage piece of fiction I have ever watched. As a matter of fact, I have thought about rewatching Hunter x Hunter a plethora of times now to see if there's something I'm missing, to see if there's something I don't understand. How could an anime that I thought was so unbelievably average be so popular and so critically acclaimed? But then I remember the Chimera Ant arc and I completely disregard that idea and I take no interest in watching Hunter x Hunter once again. That's it from me. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree and why you do so. I'm currently at 3 subscribers, so I would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe subscribe button and leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, man. I'll see y'all later.